independent from the county. Now, still the County Board of Supervisors was going to have the final say-so, but they wanted a separate entity. One of the reasons for that was a legal reason relating to liability, because the counties were afraid. There's this legal concept that says that if your employee does something wrong and hurts somebody, causes some injury to them, then you can be held responsible for the actions of that employee. I'm going to call that employer liability. What the legislature was trying to avoid, and actually the counties wanted to avoid, is the county did not want to be the employer of the independent IHSS provider for very good reason. They had no way to go into people's homes and supervise these folks and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do. So they made this separate legal entity out there, the public authority, to be the employer of record of all the providers. And that way, the county could insulate itself from liability from the public authority. The AB 1682, Janet's in a county with 180,000 consumers of IHSS. Some other counties have 5 or 6. So we have this incredibly wide range of different kinds of counties. So their counties need to have choices in how they set things up. Another thing, this is the big thing that I think that really changes, it's really different in California from other states, is AB 1682 mandated citizen input into the process. Very, very important. And you have to fight to make this a reality, because it's much easier for counties to do it the other way and ignore you and not allow you a seat at the table, and not allow you some meaningful input. That's not true in every county, but it's true in some counties. Okay, I'm going to go down quickly now the legal framework. I've got these citations here, but we have the first big thing is the Welfare and Institutions Code. Underneath the Welfare and Institutions Code, you'll see that there's a county ordinance. So every single county, based on what's in the Welfare and Institutions Code, has enacted an ordinance establishing a public authority and establishing an advisory committee. Then, remember I said the public authority was a separate legal entity from the county. There is what's called an interagency agreement. And that's the contract between the county and the public authority as to what the public authority is supposed to do. Then advisory committees have bylaws. How do we operate? What are our rules? And one of the things, I call them meeting procedures or rules of order. Typically, you'll see in bylaws that they say that Robert's Rules of Order are the thing that they follow. Mostly what they mean by that is, we have a motion and we have a second and the chair recognizes a person and so on. But nobody follows the Robert's Rules of Order, I can guarantee that to you, because nobody understands them. You need a professional parliamentarian to figure it out, and they're not designed for a group like you anyway. They're designed for these huge assemblies where they have to really have rigid rules. Colonel Robert, was a military guy, and so you can kind of see where that came from. So we recommend that you have meeting procedures that follow those rules, basically, of make a motion and so on, but that are more adaptive. A big thing that affects you, and I'm going to be talking about this later, is the Brown Act. Because let me make a little side comment here. Most of you don't realize that you are actually public officials. If you're a member of an advisory committee, you are mandated by the state legislature the state legislature requires counties to have an advisory committee and sets out the requirements for who gets to be on that advisory committee, what kind of people it's made up of. A majority of folks have to be current or former users of personal assistance services. So you're a public official. Most people don't think that way. No, you don't get paid on an hourly basis. You're not a county employee in that sense, but you are a public official and you have a responsibility to the public. And I think that's really important because a lot of times people say to me, well, you know what, they told us that we don't do that with our advisory committees in this county. My answer is, the other advisory committees are not mandated by state law. And the state tells this advisory committee in this county what its jobs are.